Good morning. Welcome to First Unitarian Church of Toledo on this Sunday, November 12th, 2023. I am Judy Lee Troutman, today's service associate. The Reverend Dr. T.K. Barger is leading the service. Jeffrey Maxey is providing music, and Jenny Gottman, our Director of Lifelong Learning, will offer the story and lead the children and teachers to their learning activities. We are a church without a fixed creed or doctrine, but instead we covenant to support each other as we seek our individual spiritual paths. We welcome everyone, as we just sang. If you are visiting, there are cards in the pew racks in front of you. Some of them describe our principles and sources. Feel free to take them with you. The yellow card invites you to introduce yourself to us. If you include your email, we will send you our weekly FYI and news of our programs and events. And welcome also to those who are visiting us on YouTube today.
Hi, I'm Reverend Tim, and let me add to the welcome. As Judy lights the chalice, let's say the words for lighting together. We are Unitarian Universalists with minds that think, hearts that love, and hands that are ready to serve. Together, we care for our earth and work for friendship and peace in our world.
And while we're reciting, let's say our covenant together. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and love, and to help one another.
Today, on our minds, in our hearts, and with our spirits, we think of the ways of the world, the state of the nation, the serenity of our own souls. Today is a religious holiday that has come into Indian culture, crossing religions, and more into world recognition too. It's Diwali, a festival of lights celebrated by Hindu people, Buddhists, Sikhs, and Jain observers as well. I'm sure also with people with no religion but respect for the South Asian culture from which Diwali springs. In a duality way, a description in National Geographic by way of Wikipedia calls the festival the victory of light over darkness, good over evil, and knowledge over ignorance. And there is so much conflict and war in our world. Too many of us, far removed from the fighting and killing, are in disagreement. May we find ways to bring about peace between governments, among people all over the world, and try not to say hurtful things. We hold members, supporters, and friends of our congregation near as so many of us face issues of health, including COVID, of relationships, of loneliness, of economy, of life. Let's be good to one another, help if we can, and honor our togetherness, even though each of us is so different from one another. You might have your own items for meditation, contemplation, and prayer. So we include the unsaid here, as we are in community. We can share burdens and be glad for accomplishments. We are together in fact and in spirit. And now please join us for our opening hymn. Today it's number 1064 in our teal hymnal, and words will also be on the screen. It's Blue Boat Home. If you can and you're willing, please stand.
I feel no motion, standing on those mountains and plains, far away from the rolling thunder. Still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing with all my life now. Never harbor or port have I known. Wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat drum. Sail and move my rudder as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into deep, floating in my ship's companions, all we kindred and pyramid souls.
Good morning. Who knows what we have here? The Wonder Box.
Wunderbar.
Everybody say ooh. Everybody say ah. Does anybody want to come forward and open the Wonder Box and tell us what's inside? I don't know how to open it myself, so I need a volunteer. All right. Ginny number 1. Just lift up that, yeah. What do you see in there? Ooh.
Lots of things to do with your hands.
Exactly, lots of things to do with your hands. I'm going to set this down while I talk. That's your excuse, thank you. Did you know that keeping your hands busy with handicrafts is really good for your body and your brain? Well, it is. And give me 1 second. Sorry, I need my notes. Today we are going to talk about a pretty new Unitarian Universalist practice. It is called soul work, S-O-U-L, soul work. And soul work was developed by my friend and colleague Joy Berry. We've known each other for a long time, and she now works with the UUA in faith development. Soul work is sometimes called worship work or active worship work, and it's made up of a bunch of handicraft type items. And you might know that throughout history, these handcrafts were things that people just sort of did a lot of the time. Like if you've read Anne of Green Gables, I know you've seen how women would go visiting and they would take their sewing and talk. And you've probably seen movies in which men would like sit on the porch steps of the general store and just whittle all day, every day. And then when they were done with the thing that they whittled, they always just handed it off to a passing child. They weren't just whittling, carved owls because they wanted to have a bunch of carved owls. They were doing it for the sake of the whittling. And that sort of repetitive pattern of behavior is really good for our brains. It tends to make us feel calmer. When we're doing handicrafts, our brains release dopamine and serotonin, which are our happy chemicals. Keeping our hands busy with those repetitive motions can improve our focus. It sometimes helps people absorb the things they're hearing better than just sitting still does. Kids with ADHD tend to focus a lot better when they can keep their hands busy. And when adults do it, they tend to see a slowdown of cognitive decline and a slowdown of memory loss. And the effects of being in this kind of flow state, where we're just repetitively doing things, they light up the areas in our brains that light up when we are in prayer or meditation. It just brings you to a very calm and focused state. So, soul work is good for our brains and our bodies, no matter how old we are. You may be thinking at this point, as I did when I first heard about soul work, okay, that's fine. People like it, whatever. But I don't sew, I don't whittle, I don't see that this has any relevance to me. I believed the same thing, but if you're thinking that, think about this. Have you ever been on a long phone call and just doodled? A page full of patterns, hearts, curly cues, squares. I didn't think that I did any kind of soul work, but that's what that is. And it's just a thing that my brain automatically does, always has. Maybe your brain does that too. So that is the why of soul work, why we do it and why it's good for us. So let's talk about how soul work is going to work. When you come in here next Sunday, there will be a table in the vestibule with a bunch of baskets on it. And in the baskets will be things like these. Pipe cleaners, embroidery hoops. There will be some coloring pages, some sort of bendy sticks, just little crafts like that. So if you want to, grab something on your way in. You can pick up one of these pouches, and they will all have the full complement of soul work materials in them. And if you would rather just pick up some embroidery tools, you can pick up things a la carte as well. Feel free to just grab something on your way into the sanctuary and give it a shot as you're doing it. If you get halfway through a project, an embroidery or a coloring project, and you want to save that project to work on later, there will be a basket for works in progress on the soul work table. And as a quiet memo to the adults here, I will say that kids have been known to say in other UU churches, I have to go back to church on Sunday because I want to finish my project. So, for what that's worth. If you do a project and you like it and you would like to keep it, great, keep it. Don't keep the embroidery hoop, don't keep the needles, don't keep the main parts of it, but feel free to remove your little project and take it home. If you have finished a thing like this and you don't want to keep it, that's fine too. Put it back on the soul work table. Depending on what we get in that kind of capacity, we'll probably do something with it in RE. It's a little too soon to say, but we'll find some use for it, probably. So, when you get here next Sunday, take a look at the soul work table in the vestibule. Feel free to poke around, see what you like, grab a thing or two and bring them into the sanctuary with you and just give it a shot. See how it makes you feel. You might be surprised at the effect that it has on your body and on your brain.
I just want to add, if you already bring knitting, please continue to do that. You don't have to set it aside to do other soul work projects. And I have always known better than to say, put your knitting down and pay attention. I know that you pay attention better if you're working your hands. So let's sing for the children, as this is the time when they go to RE.
As you go on your way, may you be filled with gladness. Go in joy, go in joy. May fortune bless your day with peace and loving kindness. Go in love, go in love.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Please join us for a time of meditation, contemplation, and prayer. This is prayer for Two Voices by Tandy Rogers. And Judy and I will try to make it through these two voices as they're written. Spirit of life
And love,
known by many names and
worshipped in a
rainbow
of ways,
infinite mystery, spark of aha
and awe,
and awe,
conspiring,
energy of
interdependent,
co-arising. Be with us now.
surround us,
Push us forward.
pull us together
We give
Thanks.
thanks this day,
for the
opportunity to be together, to laugh, to learn,
to play and
to build a vision. May this time bind us.
and set us free.
May we know deep in our bones that we are not alone. We call in our elders
The pioneers
and pilgrims
whose shoulders we stand on. We call you in, not to rest
and bask in your glow,
of bygone days, but to be held accountable.
to the struggles and challenges and sacrifices
You offered with
love May we love you enough,
love us enough,
love those yet to come enough
to keep raising the bar of expectations
and dreams
and
and
possibilities.
Give us the courage
And conviction,
to put aside
our egos,
and attachments so
Universal
universal grace may stream in. We call in the congregations we serve
who deserve.
our very best.
May we
Partner with them to lay foundations,
under their cloud,
cloud-surrounded dreams. We call in our
silent
wise
voice within.
May we leave space to
Deeply hear what is spoken
and unspoken. Spirit of life,
and love
be with us today. Give us the vision
to dream
beyond ourselves,
Give us the humility
to see our shortcomings as a
place to begin and grow,
Send us the compassion
to create a safe place for us
to explore possibilities. Give us the confidence to ask for what we
need and want. Give us the
courage to take risks
beyond here
and now and
us.
Salom.
Shalom.
Amen.
Amen.
Let's observe 1 minute of silence.
Spirit of truth, of life, of power, we bring ourselves as gifts to thee. Oh, bind our hearts, this sacred hour, and breathe in open charity.
Our reading this morning is Learning to Become Wise Elders at Any Age from eldershipacademy.org. Eldership is a role all of us can inhabit regardless of age. Eldership qualities are grounded in timeless human virtues such as a non-judgmental attitude, patience, presence, deep listening, non-polarizing language, and curiosity towards the known and unknown. The Eldership Academy facilitates the study of eldership, the ability to listen to our inner voice, the inner wise elder. If we can slow down enough, be present, we can hear our inner elder. In so doing, we hope to explore the question, what is a life worth living? We propose growing into an aware elder, not just an older person. Wise elders are more important than ever as listeners and guides for our communities who search for pathways to many of today's social and planetary challenges. Eldership affords us the opportunity for a more joyous approach to living and aging.
Respect your elders. Do you even remember when the last time was that you heard that statement not ironically? I expect you yourself were pretty young. It was probably said to you, not by you. And it was long before there was such a slew of advertising about looking and feeling younger, long about when Geritol was the sponsor of the Lawrence Welk Show, which only old folks watched. We know that because we were in the TV room when our grandparents viewed it, right? And we certainly weren't watching. We know nothing about Lawrence Welk. Geritol, with that G-E-R-I, coming from the word geriatric, has 2 vitamin supplements still on the market, but Geritol is not prominent anymore. I don't think it is. And here in Ohio, thanks to the passage of Issue 2 recently, there might be a few of us turning to enhancements of another kind rather than Geritol to help our minds and bodies, but that's a talk for another day. I don't expect respect your elders to be a phrase you have used with some sense of entitlement, as if your opinion or existence is the only one that matters. Not even now, when so many of us, me included, might be considered elders. Respect your elders can be used, but in a golden rule way, it has to be one of a long list of respects, including respecting those far from reaching eldership, whether by age or by wisdom. And I know just by being a certain age, even my reaching 65 and being somehow government recognized by way of Medicare as having kind of a respected care from society, that being an elder doesn't necessarily mean being wise. I found a wonderful quote by Sherman Alexie, who has written much about Native American people, which is his heritage. This is from his short story collection, The Toughest Indian in the World, which story in the book I'm not sure, but he has a character saying, "Oh, no, you've got that all wrong. You're not required to respect elders. After all, most people are idiots, regardless of age." In tribal cultures, we just make sure that elders remain an active part of the culture, even if they're idiots, especially if they're idiots. You can't just abandon your old people, even if they have nothing intelligent to say, even if they're crazy. I'd better hold my tongue about that term crazy he used. I could be betraying myself because I'm pretty sure you've witnessed Sundays when I have nothing intelligent to say. But activity is essential. At First Unitarian, we need volunteers always. And sometimes the work doesn't have anything to do with decision making, for example, but helping with tasks that I know you probably could improve with a little thought. And regardless, your being here, a present elder, does help our culture. And I know there's loneliness. We don't intend to abandon anyone, but sometimes I know prompting helps. Do reach out yourself rather than thinking you've been forgotten. I know that I welcome calls and conversations and even emails, and I would think your church friends, even if you haven't been in touch, would welcome your reaching out too. Eldership shouldn't be lonely. This talk on eldership follows my speaking 3 weeks ago on aging. In that October 22nd sermon, I was encouraging us to realize that we Toledo Unitarians are growing older as a congregation, that we need to depend on one another and invite people our age into this church and into membership in order for First Unitarian to thrive in a time of lower participation in religious organizations generally. In addition to saying we need young families and even so not doing enough to attract parents and children, we also must look to friends and neighbors and get them involved here. Build the congregation with our peers. That's the aging part. The eldership part is how do we do that not just for age, but applying wisdom from our years and life experience, and using our own accumulation of qualities built up over the span of our lives to make First Unitarian a stronger organization with a presence and voice in the community. Eldership is not just bringing more people under our roof, but how do we use the work we've done up to now, our knowledge, or even the wisdom we might have come to us, to be influential here and outside our walls. And with our combined intellects, abilities, and years, might we be respected elders? Know that if we're doing the work well, self-respect is really what matters if what we're doing makes the world a better place. And it doesn't have to be a claim from others. And you don't get respect by commanding it, but by being present and working in a way that brings respect. Eldership is different from age. Helena Clayton, a British leadership development coach, consultant, and facilitator, wrote that the term eldership comes from traditional societies and indigenous peoples, and from times and places that many of us have lost connection with. It means someone with a level of growth and service who is seen as critical to the well-being of the community. You Toledo Unitarians, regardless of your age or your wisdom, are critical to this community's well-being. And you do bring growth and service, for which First Unitarian has a crucial need. Apply that eldership and strengthen our church. There are two aspects to why this year I'm giving attention to our being an older congregation, to recognizing all of us as elders. One is fact. We're aging. We're seeing some church decline measured by attendance and economically. with some added effect from the pandemic. And the fact includes that this seems to be a time when we must focus more on ourselves and people our age than giving a hope that young families will come in, take over our own responsibilities as church members, and save us. The second is my own coming into eldership. I've always felt young as the last born of 6 kids, the baby of the family. So I've always looked forward to being older, but haven't felt like an elder, in part because of my position in the birth order. But I have realized that my work, my experience, my service, and even a little bit of my knowledge has made some people recognize me as an elder. I'm embracing age 65, official senior citizenship, according to most of the discounts given. It's still hard, though, for me to describe myself as an old man. But at 65, I don't think there's any kid left in me now. But we'll see, it could emerge. There used to be some kind of elder divide, didn't there? Not determined by store discounts, but just a cultural knowledge of who was old and who wasn't. We were young and they weren't. Don't trust anyone over 30 was a catchphrase for a brief time in the late 1960s or early 70s. But then hippies aged, and that don't trust limit had to be raised. Time has continued as it always does, and we baby boomers have become the old, joining the silent and greatest generations in the space of eldership. Generation X, believe it or not, isn't too far behind us. In just 2 years, the entire generation of millennials will be over 30. There are so many elders out there who could benefit from Unitarian Universalism and contribute to it too. Bring them in. I ought to take a couple of moments to bring up the religious label of elder. That's not what we're talking about today. Elder is a good word, authoritative in a way, isn't it? Indicating responsibility. One track of United Methodist pastors are ordained as elders, for example, using that label. In Unitarian Universalism, a person's being an ordained minister does not necessarily mean that they carry the label of elder. That comes from their good ministry, not a laying on of hands or an official decree. Other denominations have offices called elder, whether ordained or lay people, positions that are administrative in a way or for another type of leadership. And then there is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, with its Melchizedek priesthood, ordaining as elders men as young as age 18, who become missionaries for a limited time all over the world. For our Unitarian Universalism, we don't need a governing body or administrative body of elders, whether based on age, experience, or just label. What we need are elders in our membership, in addition to us already in the sanctuaries and the live streams as congregants, as leaders in what James Luther Adams called our prophethood of all believers. What we need, who we need, our elders to bring both their uniqueness as individuals and their commonness as people with wisdom, even if they're wise without having intelligence. Again, citing Sherman Alexie, to be part of our church culture. In Christianity, 2 letters of Paul, 1 Timothy and Titus, spell out 21 qualifications for their religious elders. I won't list them here, but will point out that being just and fair is also important to Unitarian Universalism. And I hope all people try to be patient, moderate, forbearing, gentle. In the blog Think Theology, Andrew Wilson wrote, "An elder is a pastor, is a shepherd, is an overseer, is a teacher, is a leader. And in many ways, the unifying concept underlying the biblical material is that of guardian, protecting and guarding the church from harm." We need more eldership here at First Unitarian Church of Toledo, protectors and guardians of our liberal religion and of our particular place here in Northwest Ohio. But not just protectors and guardians, also friends, teachers, colleagues, and more. Be here, be aware, and know that you're so much more than just what your age shows. So be it.
Thank you, Reverend TK. Now it is time for our offering. We are not financially supported by our denomination. We have the privilege of supporting our own church. Your contributions today and always make the vibrant programs and outreach of this church possible. We thank you for your giving. We no longer pass a plate, but you may contribute in several ways. You may go to uutoledo.org and clicking Give, and then Online Giving. There is a QR code that you can use to jump to that page. Or you can mail a check to 3205 Glendale Avenue, Toledo 43614. Thirdly, you may drop your offering in the basket on the welcome table at the entrance.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
Thank you, Jeffrey, and our choir. This seems like a good opportunity for me to extend a call for new choir members. Singing is a good way to be together, whether your voice is an elder's or a youngling's. You help our services, you learn new music, and you get to work with Jeffrey Maxey. This is an especially good time to come into our music program, as our seasonal all-music service comes up on December 17th. And then we'll have a Christmas Eve service of lessons and carols at 5 p.m. on December 24th, after our regular but lower key 11 a.m. service on the 24th. Rehearsals are on Thursdays, right?
Correct. And for the holiday season has not been changed yet. Well, this week, but it's at 7, not 7:30, just through the holiday season.
Thursdays at 7 p.m. through the holiday season, choir rehearsal. And if you want to sing, please see Jeffrey. I don't think that the audition process is extremely difficult.
No, it's not.
Well, now it's the coming soon part of our service where we tell you what's on the calendar for next week. We give some announcements, and we also let you know what's up for right after the service. Next Sunday at 9:45 a.m. for our spiritual forum, we'll have a discussion led by Susan Spiegel on an essay recently in the Washington Post, written by Kate Cohen, titled, "America doesn't need more God, it needs more atheists." You can find a link to the opinion piece in our UUFYI electronic newsletter. And then for the 11 a.m. service, David Strickler, our commissioned lay minister and today our soundboard operator, will lead the service. His sermon is titled, "The Wars on Christmas, Control or Liberation."
A few church items for coming soon. You can pick up your 2024 church directory after today's service. They're free, but a suggested donation of $5 will help to cover the cost of the paper, printing, and binding. Today is your final chance to order poinsettias through our church. Order forms are in the lobby and on our website and our social media. And also, just after the service today, the Capital Campaign team invites you to the first in a series of informal drop-in meetings. Then at the end of this week, on Saturday the 18th and Sunday the 19th, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on both days, our annual bazaar will take place. Volunteers for many areas are still needed. I can't help because I'm a vendor, so please help. Contact Melanie Christensen for more information. The Sign Up Genius link is on our Facebook group page. The final coming soon entry is for me to invite you to join us after today's service for coffee, conversation, and social time in Fellowship Hall, down the hall and to your left.
And please join me in reciting the words for us figuratively to send some Unitarian Universalist fire into the community while Judy extinguishes the chalice flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding on. I rest in His love. There is a love holding us. There is a love Have a great day.